So here you can see I've got two big rectangles next to each other, and each of these rectangles has been divided into 10 pieces. I've also got a number line up here because we need to practice counting in tenths beyond one whole. So if I shade in a tenth of the first rectangle, we have 0.1. 2 tenths is 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, 0.9, and one whole rectangle, so 1 or 1.0. Now we have 1.1 because we have the whole of our first rectangle shaded, but we now have 1/10 of our second rectangle shaded as well. 1.2 means we have one whole and 2 tenths. 1.3 is one whole and 3 tenths. 1.4, 1.5, 1.6, 1.7, 1.8, 1.9 and 2. So what do we have here? We have one whole rectangle, but we also have 7 tenths of another rectangle as well. So we can say that we have 1 and 7 tenths. This is called a mixed number because we have a whole number, in this case 1, and a fraction, in this case 7 tenths. So we write this as 1.7 because our units column is before the decimal point and our tenths column is after it. There's another way of thinking about 1 and 7 tenths, or 1.7. You can see here that I've divided my whole rectangle into tenths as well. So in this rectangle I have 10 tenths, and in this one I have 7 tenths. So altogether I have 17 tenths. Now it may seem strange to see a fraction with a larger numerator than denominator, but when this happens, it tells us that we have more than 1. We call this way of writing a fraction an improper fraction. So what do we have here as a mixed number? We have 1 and 5 tenths. So how would we write this as a decimal? We write 1.5. And how could we show this as an improper fraction? We have 15 tenths because we have 10 tenths in our whole rectangle plus 5 tenths in our extra one. So now pause the video and see if you can write what we have here as a mixed number, a decimal number, and an improper fraction. We have 2 whole rectangles and then 3 tenths of another one. So we have 2 and 3 tenths. We can write this as the decimal number 2.3, and as an improper fraction we have 10 tenths in this full rectangle, another 10 tenths in this one, and then 3 tenths in this one. So that gives us 23 tenths altogether. And finally here we have 2 and 1 tenth, so 2.1, and as an improper fraction we have 21 tenths.